Hi, I'm Laurie Timble, and I'm inviting all of you to come down to the March Against Monsanto, May the 24th at the Parkinson Rec Center.
Pope Francis is asking for forgiveness from the victims of child sex abuse in the Catholic Church. The BBC has his statement made Friday.
I feel compelled to take responsibility for all the evil which some priests, quite a few in number, not compared to the number of all the priests, to personally ask for forgiveness for the damage they have done for having sexually abused children.
NPR is calling this his strongest words to date on the issue that continues to hang over the Church. Vatican Radio reports his statement was made during a meeting with the Catholic Children's non-governmental organization.
In his address, he said the Church is aware of this damage, a damage which he described as both personal and moral, carried out by men of the Church.
Last month, Pope Francis named 8 people to a group aimed at helping the Church face this issue. NBC reports,
among them is an Irish woman who was a victim of sexual abuse as a child.
His words Friday marked a clear change in tone from previous statements. Earlier in March, he was reportedly quoted in Italian newspaper Corriere della Sera saying, "The Catholic Church is perhaps the only public institution that is moved with transparency and responsibility. No one has done more, and yet the Church is the only one that has been attacked." CNN reports the advocates for sexual abuse victims slammed that statement. Among the vocal critics was the United Nations. Earlier this year, a UN committee criticized the Vatican and put pressure on the Pope to make changes. That said, it's not just in the hands of the Pope. A regional director for SNAP, Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, told CNN,
"Hopefully what this report will do is empower individual nations to make more robust laws."
What the Vatican's appointed group will do remains to be seen. Pope Francis added Friday, "We will not take one step backward in regards to the problem of sexual abuse."
Move. There we go. Roving reporters, Robert Nisbet, Darren Howard.
We had to move. We're talking about religion right here, and the last one we saw that this Catholic Pope doesn't really look all that Catholic. He's actually condemning some rich people and telling them to grow up.
But apparently he's begging forgiveness from the victims of sexual abuse from the clergy.
Yes. Personally, I think that most, Catholic priests who go and touch little kids should probably be burned in City Square. The Catholics kind of argue about that, though.
And right now, the UN Special Commission is investigating the Vatican. The Torture Commission is investigating them on the subject of sexual abuse.
Of course, we won't talk about residential schools or mass children's graves beside those schools right here in Canada. We're saving that for our focus on the conservatives. I am Darren Howard.
And I am Robert Nisbet.
You're tuned into Video Radio, where we're taking a look at mega church fails and
the missing plane. It's still missing. There's still no news on it. But apparently Billy Graham's daughter has compared the vanishing people to what people may experience during the rapture.
Check this out.
Nobody knows what happened to Flight 370, but the daughter of Reverend Billy Graham thinks there might be a lesson there for all of us sinners, and she writes about it in her Charisma News blog. She says this, it's headlined, "Malaysian Airliner Disappearance Offers Snapshot of Post-Rapture World Shock." So she's saying, this is an example of what it's going to be like when the rapture comes. Here's what she writes. How can a modern airliner drop out of the sight so quickly and completely? What happened to the plane itself? Where are all the people? I can't help but wonder, is this worldwide sense of shock and helplessness, of questions and confusion, of fear and grief, a glimpse of things to come, is this a small snapshot of what the entire world will experience the day after the rapture of the church? She says this, on that day, the world will be asking, where have all the people gone? Not just 239 of us, but millions of us. Millions.
Millions.
Now, there's billions in the world, but there's only millions of them.
Right.
They're all going to get up and disappear. Not only the ones living, but the ones in the ground. She's taking advantage of a really tragic situation and trying to capitalize on it by saying everything relates to, how do I turn this into this furthers my message about the rapture.
Yeah.
You know, don't take this horrible event and try to make some kind of hay out of it in terms of your little political, your religious message.
Robertson received a letter from someone who is a Wiccan. He identifies as a Wiccan, and he was wondering whether or not he can still go to heaven even though he doesn't practice Christianity. Take a look at what Pat Robertson had to say.
Being a good person and helping people, when you get to the end of the road and stand in the pearly gates, God's going to say, you're one of the nicest people I've ever had to send away from here, because that doesn't cut it. The Bible's very express about that. So there are 2 strikes on you, and I know you're sincere and you want to do something. Ask Jesus, get a copy of the Bible, and ask God, say, God, I want to know what you want me to do.
Get a copy of your Bible, keep it by your nightstand like most Christians do, and don't read it. Just make sure you don't read it. But you have like one person who believes in one type of witchcraft asking another person who believes in a different type of witchcraft what's going to happen to his soul when he passes away. Like, it's ridiculous. It's a stupid conversation. Okay, stop calling in or writing in to this old man who has no idea about reality, okay?
But let's go to the heart of this, though. Pat Roberts says, you know, it's very lovely that you're a good person, but we don't really give, okay? God is going to break your back and drink your spinal fluid, and then he's going to put your ashes in hell, but don't worry, only forever.
Hell. So that's what religion is about. It's about this, this battle between different beliefs.
Different sorcerers, right.
It's insane.
Well, if you believe in Thor, well, you missed out, because it turns out the real God was Zeus. Sorry.
Okay, so remember Harry Potter, you know, Wiccans, all those people, they're just burning, that's it.
It's kind of funny, you know, you believe in one imaginary thing, right into somebody who believes in another imaginary thing.
Remember, the only thing crazier than having an imaginary friend is having an imaginary enemy. One last story here, okay?
Apparently a fairly well-to-do church in a county in the States commissioned a Canadian artist to do his work of art.
And this guy got international exposure for doing it. It's a phenomenal piece of art, but it almost got arrested.
Yeah, check it out.
Well, if it's good enough for the Pope, it should be good enough for the people of Davidson, South Carolina. But that's not the case with this life-size bronze statue depicting Jesus sleeping on a park bench covered in a blanket. The statue was installed outside of St. Albans Episcopal Church in Davidson, South Carolina, and it has created a stir among the community, which is a relatively affluent community. Cindy Castano Swanek, who is also she's a resident and happens to be president of AMG Financial Services, she saw it and called the police because she thought there was a homeless person sleeping on the bench. She says, "I was concerned for the safety of the neighborhood. Oh, look out, there's a man on the bench." So you wouldn't know that it's supposed to be Jesus. It just looks like a homeless person on the bench until you get close to it and you look at the feet, and there's actually the crucifixion wounds on the feet. And it's supposed to be a reference to the book of Matthew in which Jesus tells his disciples, "I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, you did not welcome me." They said, "No, we didn't do that." And he said, "As you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me."
It's reminding us, right, that according to Christianity, Christ is in all of us. Like, we are all part of something bigger.
No, but it brings that right in your face. Dude, congratulations to the artist, Timothy Schmaltz. He's making other versions of this now because other churches now want this in front of theirs. So, pretty rad.
So yes, homeless Jesus scares the heck out of conservatives.
And rich people.
And people driving by who have something to say about it.
I think they kind of missed the whole point of what Jesus' message was.
Yes, feed the poor, sell your possessions, get on with your life, but of course not if you're a conservative in Canada. Thanks again to the Pope for proving that Catholics can actually grow up. We do appreciate some of the work there, although we have to keep at it, and that's why we're taping video radio on the streets of Kelowna.
Yes, we'll be back next week with a message more from the conservatives.
Yes.
About how much they care about you.
And we're following up stories right here in town on the way the tax dollars are being wasted and the incredible lack of democracy that Canadians live under right now. Remember, you pay 60% of your wages, probably 65% of your income in taxes, and banks don't pay taxes at all.
Now, please stay tuned from this message from our sponsors.
Fox News did something interesting. They had a religion panel on. They had a Catholic, Jew, and atheist. So it was on Gretchen Carlson's The Real Story, which is funny enough for a Fox News show. They were debating a campaign by Freedom from Religion Foundation. Now, you should know that I got an award from them, so that's, I don't know if I'm biased or not. I'm agnostic, so I'm telling you, I like their campaigns, so that's my perspective. And their campaign in this is Enjoy Life Now. These are billboards they put up. There is no afterlife. Now, I love that. One, because it is my philosophy. You shouldn't wait around for a second life you might or might not get. You should live the life that you have now. Even if you believe in God. God gave you life so that you may live it. Don't have disdain for that gift. It's not a pop quiz. It's not a test for your second life. He gave you this one. Go ahead and enjoy it. Now, apparently, the religious people on that panel did not view it that way, especially, of course, Bill Donohue from the so-called Catholic League, who represents approximately 3.5 Catholics in this country. All right, nonetheless, he's going to say something hilarious. We're going to share it with you. Let's watch.
The American atheists and atheists everywhere and people everywhere need to live for today because there is no afterlife. Take care of your fellow man because, of course, Bill, God is not going to do it.
If you're a Christian, Bill, you want to live every day to the fullest and be good to your fellow man, right?
Absolutely.
But you also believe that there's a higher life and a higher being that's going to be there when you pass.
Right. Usually intelligent people normally do.
Oh, you're going to insult my intelligence now?
I don't know how much intelligence you have.
I didn't know
to
intelligent people believed in an invisible man in the sky.
You have to understand tolerance, sir. I know it doesn't come naturally to atheists. No, a tolerance for my freedom of speech. Yeah. You had your opportunity and you blew it.
You insulted me.
If you want to say you believe in nothing, I say you could. I know you stand for nothing. I know you're good for nothing, so we agree.
Well, I do believe in an afterlife. Material things die, but the spirit, the soul lives on. It is eternal. But I do also believe that God wants us to enjoy and have happiness in this life, not necessarily fun, but happiness.
The point of it is that 1/5 of the U.S. public and 1/3 of adults under 30 now are not religiously affiliated.
That's right.
So I don't know, you may have a point with who they end up voting for.
They're very intelligent, huh, Bill?
I want to move on to what
Almost
today
none of them are atheists, by the way. They're indifferent. They're not like you.
Right.
All right. First of all, I think we can all acknowledge that Rabbi Aryeh Sparrow was a lovely guy. He was trying to do the right thing there. He said, look, I believe in an afterlife, but I also think that you should kind of enjoy this one. Pretty logical position to take. I love Bill Donohue's claims. He says that the atheist is not tolerant, but he's very tolerant. But he often talks about how his religion believes that if you don't believe what they believe, you will be tortured in eternity. It's a thing called hell. That the Almighty will get so hurt that you didn't love Him enough, that you didn't have the right kind of feelings towards Him, that He will snap your neck and then have this guy named Satan torture you over an open fire for the rest of time. But you see how tolerant Bill Donohue is. But of course, the killer line there is insinuating that religious folks like Bill Donohue, especially fundamentalists like Bill Donohue, are more intelligent than atheists and agnostics. To which I say, that's a good one, Bill. That's a good one. I know how very irrational of me to doubt your seven-headed dragon in the New Testament or where you sprinkled the goat's blood in the Old Testament. How irrational of me to question whether you could put 2 of every species on an ark when the flood comes by, or whether Lot would have really allowed his daughters to be raped instead of the angels that were visiting him. I know, I just don't have enough intelligence to be able to figure all of that out.